Alien princess outraged by human dating rules. Why don't males pay for everything? The diplomatic dinner disaster commander Zara Thorne adjusted her dress uniform one final time before stepping through the airlock of Harmony Station. The prestigious diplomatic hub floated serenely in neutral space, its crystalline spires catching the light of 3 different suns. As Earth's newest trade liaison, she'd been briefed extensively on the importance of this meeting with the Valdris Empire, a powerful alien confederation that controlled several crucial hyperspace routes. "Don't mess this up, Thorne," she muttered to herself, echoing her superior's parting words. After 15 years in the military, transitioning to diplomacy felt like learning to dance in zero gravity. Theoretically possible, but bound to result in some spectacular crashes. The station's main promenade buzzed with activity. Beings from dozens of species conducted business in harmonious chaos, their universal translators creating a symphony of overlapping conversations. Zara navigated through the crowd, noting the impressive variety of life forms, crystalline beings that chimed as they moved, floating jellyfish-like creatures with bioluminescent displays, and towering reptilian figures in elaborate robes. Her destination was the Celestial Garden, reportedly the finest restaurant on the station. As she approached the ornate entrance, an insectoid maitre d' with compound eyes and elegant mandibles greeted her. "Commander Thorne, I presume your party has already arrived. Right this way, please." The restaurant's interior took her breath away. Transparent aluminum walls offered a panoramic view of the nebula beyond, while exotic plants from across the galaxy created intimate dining alcoves. The air hummed with soft music that seemed to respond to the emotional resonance of the diners. "Here we are," the maitre d' announced, leading her to a secluded terrace where 2 figures waited. The first was clearly her contact, Ambassador Nexus, a mantis-like being she'd spoken with via holocom. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed with an opalescent sheen, and his multifaceted eyes tracked her approach with mechanical precision. The second figure made her pause mid-step. Prince Lyrian Valtar of the Valdris Empire was nothing like the briefing files had suggested. Where she'd expected an imposing alien ruler, she found something far more disconcerting. Someone almost heartbreakingly beautiful. His skin held an ethereal pale blue luminescence, as if starlight ran through his veins. Silver-white hair fell in a cascade past his shoulders, adorned with delicate braids threaded with glowing crystals. His features were sharp and angular, with high cheekbones and pointed ears that reminded her of ancient Earth legends of elven nobility. But it was his eyes that caught her, deep violet, like the heart of a nebula, and currently studying her, with an intensity that made her feel suddenly self-conscious about her regulation uniform. "Commander Thorne," Ambassador Nexus buzzed, his translator giving his words a musical quality. "May I present His Royal Highness, Prince Lyrian Valtar, heir to the Valdris Imperial throne." Lyrian rose gracefully, his movements flowing like liquid mercury. He wore robes of deep cosmic purple that seemed to shift and shimmer with embedded fiber optics, creating the illusion of a living star map. A pendant bearing the Valdris royal seal, a stylized stellar crown, hung from a silver chain around his neck. "Commander," he said, his voice carrying an otherworldly harmonic resonance that made her name sound like poetry. "The honor is entirely mine." He extended his hand in what appeared to be a human gesture, though when she took it, she felt the strange warmth of his alien physiology. His skin was softer than human skin, with an almost electric quality that sent an unexpected thrill up her arm. "Your Highness?" she replied, hoping her voice sounded steadier than she felt. "Thank you for agreeing to this meeting." "Please sit," Nexus interjected, his antennae twitching. "We have much to discuss regarding the trade negotiations." As they settled into their chairs, Zara noticed Lyrian's continued scrutiny. His violet eyes seemed to catalog every detail of her appearance, from her short auburn hair to her military bearing. It wasn't the calculating gaze of a negotiator. It was something far more personal. "I must say," Lyrian began, "your reputation precedes you, Commander. Your military service record is quite impressive." Thank you, Your Highness, though I'm hoping my diplomatic skills prove equally effective. A server approached, a graceful being with translucent blue skin and what appeared to be fiber-optic hair that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. She placed crystalline menus before them that projected holographic images of the dishes. The Celestial Garden is renowned throughout this sector, Lyrian explained, leaning closer to point out various items. His proximity filled her senses, with an unexpectedly pleasant scent like ozone and starflowers. I took the liberty of ordering a selection of dishes that showcase both human and Valdris culinary preferences. That's very thoughtful, Zara replied, though she couldn't shake the feeling that this dinner felt more personal than professional. As courses arrived, exotic combinations of familiar earth ingredients with alien spices and preparation methods, the conversation flowed surprisingly easily. Lyrian proved to be well-versed in human culture, asking thoughtful questions about Earth's history and customs. In return, he shared fascinating insights into Valdris society, describing a civilization built around the concept of genetic perfection and social harmony. Your species' approach to equality is fascinating, he mused over the third course, a dish that resembled crystallized aurora. The concept that all individuals, regardless of biological function, deserve identical treatment, it's quite revolutionary. Revolutionary? Zara raised an eyebrow. It's just common sense. Everyone deserves respect and equal opportunity. Among the Valdris, respect is earned through demonstrated capability. Males prove their genetic worth through provision and protection. Females choose the most suitable partners based on these demonstrations. His violet eyes held hers steadily. It ensures the strongest possible offspring. Ambassador Nexus, who had been quietly observing their exchange while consuming something that looked disturbingly like live insects, suddenly perked up. Ah yes, the biological imperatives that drive your courtship rituals. Quite efficient, really. Courtship? Zara nearly choked on her drink. I thought we were here to discuss trade agreements. An uncomfortable silence fell over the table. Lyrian's luminescent skin seemed to dim slightly, while Nexus's compound eyes refracted, the light in what might have been embarrassment. Commander, Lyrian said carefully, were you not informed that this meeting was arranged through the Cultural Compatibility Assessment Program? The what now? It's a diplomatic initiative, Nexus explained, his mandibles clicking nervously, designed to foster deeper understanding between species through personal connection. Both your government and the Valdris Imperial Court approved your pairing for evaluation. Zara felt the blood drain from her face. You're telling me I've been set up on a blind date by my own government? I prefer to think of it as cultural diplomacy, Lyrian said, though his voice carried a note of uncertainty. Before anyone could respond, their server returned with the final course and the payment tablet. The tension at the table was palpable as the holographic bill appeared, listing dishes with names like Nebula Essence Soup and Crystallized Quantum Fruit. Without thinking, Zara reached for the tablet. Let me see what the damage is. We can split this 3 ways. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Lyrian's eyes went wide with shock, his skin flaring brighter with what appeared to be distress. You wish to divide the payment? Well, yeah. It's only fair that we each pay our share. Fair? Lyrian's voice rose an octave, causing several nearby diners to turn and stare. You expect me to allow a female to provide for herself in my presence? Allow me? Zara's military training kicked in, her spine straightening. I don't need anyone's permission to pay for my own meal. Ambassador Nexus began making distressed clicking sounds, his antennae waving frantically. Perhaps we should discuss this more quietly. No, Lyrian said, rising from his chair with fluid grace that somehow managed to convey outrage. This is a fundamental violation of natural order. Males provide, females receive. It's not tradition, it's biology. Biology? Zara stood as, well, her 5'6" frame dwarfed by his elegant 7-foot height, but her presence no less commanding. That's the most archaic, sexist nonsense I've ever heard. The restaurant had gone quiet. Dozens of alien faces turned toward their table with expressions ranging from amusement to concern. A small crowd had gathered at the edge of their terrace, and Zara spotted what looked like a news drone hovering nearby, its recording light blinking ominously. Sexist? Lyrian's violet eyes blazed with indignation. I offer you the highest honor a Valdris male can bestow, the demonstration of my capability to provide, and you call it sexist? I call it patronizing, Zara shot back. I've served in 3 combat zones, commanded a starship, and negotiated peace treaties. I don't need some alien prince proving he can buy me dinner. Some alien prince? The hurt in his voice was unmistakable, and for a moment his luminescent skin flickered like a dying star. Ambassador Nexus stood between them, his multiple arms raised in a gesture of peace. Please, both of you, consider the diplomatic implications. The diplomatic implications, Zara said through gritted teeth, are that humanity refuses to compromise on fundamental equality, regardless of who we're dealing with. And the Valdris Empire, Lyrian replied with icy dignity, will not abandon millions of years of successful evolutionary strategy for the sake of appeasing a species that has barely learned to leave its own planet. The insult hung in the air, like a toxic gas. Around them, the crowd murmured with excitement, recognizing the historical significance of the moment. First contact between humans and the Valdris Empire was dissolving into a very public, cultural disaster. Zara placed her payment card on the tablet with deliberate precision. I'm paying for my portion of this meal, Your Highness. If that threatens your masculine ego, then perhaps your people aren't ready for diplomatic relations with humanity. She turned to leave, but Lyrian's voice stopped her. Commander Thorn. She looked back to find him studying her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Anger, certainly, but something else. Respect? Curiosity? This conversation isn't over, he said quietly. No, she agreed, feeling an unexpected flutter in her chest despite her anger. It's not. As she walked away through the whispering crowd, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just started something that would change both their worlds forever. Behind her, she heard Ambassador Nexus frantically trying to manage the situation, but her mind was already racing ahead to the inevitable consequences. The first meeting between humanity and the Valdris Empire would be remembered throughout history, just not for the reasons anyone had hoped. Understanding across the stars, the emergency briefing room aboard Harmony Station felt cramped, despite its generous dimensions. Commander Zara Thorn sat rigidly in her chair, watching Captain Morgan Webb pace behind the holographic display showing news feeds from across the galaxy. Headlines scrolled past in dozens of languages. Human Valdris first contact disaster.
Alien prince humiliated by human feminist. And her personal favorite, is this the end of galactic diplomacy?
Explain to me, Captain Webb said, his weathered face grim, how a simple dinner meeting turned into an interstellar incident. Sir, with respect, you failed to mention that this was supposed to be some kind of arranged dating scenario. Zara kept her voice level despite the anger simmering beneath the surface. I went in expecting trade negotiations, not a cultural courtship evaluation. Webb stopped pacing, his gray eyes meeting hers. The Cultural Compatibility Assessment Program was approved at the highest levels, Commander. The idea was to foster deeper understanding between our species, by throwing us together like some cosmic reality show, by recognizing that personal connections often succeed where formal diplomacy fails. Webb activated another display, showing economic projections. The Valdris Empire controls 6 major hyperspace routes. Their cooperation could cut our shipping costs by 40% and open markets we've only dreamed of. Zara stared at the numbers, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. So I'm supposed to sacrifice my principles for trade agreements? I'm asking you to consider that maybe, just maybe, you could learn something from their perspective while teaching them about ours. Before Zara could respond, her comm unit chimed with an incoming message. The holographic display showed an elegant Valdris female with the same luminescent skin as Lyrian, though her features held the refined authority of age and power. Commander Thorn, the figure said, her voice carrying the same harmonic quality as Lyrian's but with additional overtones of command. I am High Matriarch Selvina Valtar, ruler of the Valdris Empire and mother to Prince Lyrian. I believe we need to speak. An hour later, Zara found herself in the Valdris Embassy's private chambers, a breathtaking space that seemed to exist partially in normal reality and partially in some ethereal dimension. The walls shifted between solid matter and transparent energy, offering views of distant nebulae that shouldn't have been visible from their location. High Matriarch Selvina was even more imposing in person. Her silver hair was woven with actual stars, somehow contained and tamed into decorative patterns that pulsed with real stellar light. Her robes appeared to be cut from the fabric of space itself, complete with slowly moving constellations. When she moved, reality seemed to bend slightly around her. "Please sit," Selvina said, gesturing to a chair that materialized from crystallized light. "I apologize for the unusual setting. My son is struggling with recent events." "Your Highness," Zara began, but Selvina raised a hand. "Just Selvina, please. We are both mothers of difficult children, in a sense." "I don't have children. You have humanity, do you not? And they are quite challenging offspring." Selvina's violet eyes twinkled with what might have been humor. "Tell me, Commander, what do you know of Valdris history?" "The basics. Ancient. Civilization, technological superiority, genetic optimization programs. The sanitized version, yes." Selvina waved her hand, and holographic images began appearing around them. Scenes of a dying world, desperate evacuation ships, the slow colonization of hostile planets. "What the diplomatic files don't mention is that we are a dying species." Zara leaned forward, startled by this revelation. "Our genetic optimization worked too well," Selvina continued. "We bred out disease, weakness, aging beyond a certain point. But we also bred out genetic diversity. Each generation produces fewer viable offspring. Our population has been declining for millennia." The implications hit Zara like a physical blow. "That's why courtship is so important to you. Every mating decision affects species survival." "Precisely. When a Valdris male demonstrates his ability to provide, he's not asserting dominance. He's proving he can support the precious few children that might result from the union. When a female chooses carefully, she's literally choosing the future of our people." Zara sat back, processing this information. "Lyrian doesn't know I know this, does he?" "State secrets are rarely shared with potential mates during initial courtship phases," Selvina admitted. "Though perhaps they should be given the circumstances." "Where is he now?" "Contemplating the end of his political career in the palace gardens. He's convinced that his failure to properly court you has doomed any chance of alliance between our peoples." The Valdris Embassy's gardens existed in a pocket dimension where multiple worlds' ecosystems had been carefully integrated. Zara found Lyrian sitting beside a pool of liquid starlight, his usually luminescent skin dimmed to barely a glow. He was still wearing his formal robes, though they now seemed more like a costume than royal attire. "Commander," he said without looking up as she approached, "I assume you've come to deliver the formal diplomatic rejection." "Actually, I came to apologize." That got his attention. His violet eyes met hers, confusion evident in their depths. "I didn't understand," Zara continued, sitting on a nearby crystal formation that served as a bench. "Your mother explained about your people's situation." Lyrian's skin flickered with embarrassment. She had no right to reveal state secrets. She had every right to prevent a diplomatic disaster. Zara studied his profile, the sharp cheekbones, the elegant pointed ears, the way starlight seemed to gather in his silver hair. "I still don't agree with your customs, but I understand them. Now, understanding and acceptance are different things." "Yes, they are." Zara took a breath, choosing her words carefully. "I can't pretend to be something I'm not, Lyrian. I'm a soldier, a leader, someone who's fought for equality my entire career. But I also recognize that your culture developed for reasons that make sense within your context." He turned to face her fully, his skin beginning to glow brighter. "And I have been thinking about your customs. The idea that worth is not determined By biological function, but by individual achievement, it's actually quite remarkable, even if it seems primitive to you, especially because it seems impossible to me. He smiled, the first genuine expression she'd seen from him. Your species accomplished something mine never could. True equality. Perhaps that's why you've thrived while we've stagnated. They sat in comfortable silence. I'm counting on it. The air between them seemed to shimmer with possibility. Lyrian stepped closer, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from his alien physiology. Commander Thorne, he said formally, would you do me the honor of allowing me to take you to dinner tomorrow evening? I will demonstrate my capability to provide. Prince Valtar, she replied with equal formality. I accept your invitation, and the following evening I will demonstrate mine by taking you somewhere of my choosing. Agreed. He extended his hand again, and this time when she took it, the electric sensation felt less shocking and more promising. There is one more thing, Lyrian said, not releasing her hand. What's that? My mother will want to interview you. Extensively. It's traditional. Zara groaned. Please tell me she doesn't expect me to demonstrate my genetic fitness through combat trials or something equally archaic. Nothing so barbaric, Lyrian assured her, his eyes twinkling with mischief. She'll just want to discuss your family, lineage, medical history, career achievements, personal philosophy, and long-term reproductive plans. You're joking. I am not. Zara stared at him for a moment, then burst into laughter. You know what? Bring it on. I've faced down hostile alien fleets and negotiated with war criminals. How hard can one overprotective alien mother be? Lyrian's expression grew serious. You have no idea what you've just agreed to. Then I guess we'll both be learning something new. As they walked back toward the embassy proper, Zara reflected on the evening's revelations. She still didn't fully understand Valdris culture, and Lyrian clearly had much to learn about human customs. But maybe that was the point. Maybe the best diplomatic relationships, personal or political, weren't built on complete understanding, but on mutual respect and willingness to grow. Lyrian, she said as they reached the embassy entrance. Yes? For the record, I think you're going to be a terrible human. You're too polite, too formal, and way too pretty. He laughed, the sound like distant music. And you, Commander, will make a dreadful Valdris. You're too independent, too stubborn, and far too willing to challenge authority. Perfect. We'll be completely inappropriate for each other's species. Completely. They paused at the threshold, neither quite ready to end the evening. Tomorrow, then? Lyrian asked. Tomorrow, Zara confirmed. But I'm picking the restaurant. I thought I was paying tomorrow. You are. I'm just making sure you don't choose somewhere that serves live insects. The Zephyrian beetle larvae at the Celestial Garden are actually quite delicious. Good night, Lyrian. Good night, Zara. As she walked back through the station's corridors, Zara couldn't help but smile. Captain Webb would get his trade agreements, the Valdris would get their alliance, and she was about to embark on the strangest courtship in galactic history. Her comm unit chimed with a message from High Matriarch Selvina. Breakfast tomorrow at 800 hours. We have much to discuss about your suitability for my son. Do not be late. Zara's smile widened. Challenge accepted, Your Majesty. Challenge accepted. In the distance, through the station's observation windows, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if the universe itself approved of this unlikely diplomatic solution. Two species, two very different approaches to love and life, finding a way to bridge the gap between them. It wasn't the ending anyone had expected, but it was uniquely theirs. The end.